Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Foyne Jones Show. We've got a treat for you today, listeners. David Blitz is back in the studio, and David and I are going to be inspiring our industry stars of the future. And here we go. We are back in the recording studio. Sussex by the sea. We've got a little bit of sunshine and we've got a guest who's travelled down once again from Essex. He's returning to the Foyne Jones Show. In this season, as you know already, we are inspiring our stars of the future. So what better to help us with that than to get a star of today's industry, David Blitz. David Blitz, you're back in the studio with me and Charlie. There's a lot of love in the studio. We were just saying that before we started recording. It's like the band back together again, isn't it?
Yeah, almost a band.
We're back together. We've been having Leyton Orient banter, Arsenal Tottenham banter. I've been trying not to mention Fulham because I'm just not that excited about it anymore at the moment. But I will be renewing my season tickets and we will be in the Premier League next season. Whether Alexander Mitrovic will be up front, I don't know. We'll see what happens if he makes the pitch again this season. So we are going to talk about football in this episode. Of course we are. And we're going to talk about a very special player, Charlie, who had a wand of a left foot. A wand of a left foot. We're going to talk about him. But the main aim of every episode this time around is to inspire the next generation. And I think, David, that's really about sharing journeys, sharing positivity, sharing experiences. So let's start, mate, just by bringing our listeners and all of your connections and friends and family, they're all listeners and fans of the show. Let's just talk about what you've been up to since you was last sitting here, mate.
Okay, well, lovely being back.
Good to have you, David. Good to have you.
The sun is shining again, which is lovely. I've done quite a bit of running. That was good fun. Did the Brighton Marathon a year ago, and then did the London Marathon a few months later. So a lot of running, trying to stay fit and healthy. Got over all the COVID stuff, as we'll call it. And business is good. Business has changed. The market, the conditions have changed. The customers are still there. The suppliers are still there, still working to keep pushing bricks down the road. And it's been a successful 12, 18 months. And
your deep, unconditional, dying love of bricks, it's still there, isn't it?
Yes.
It's still there, because I'm going to let the listeners into a secret. I share this with you, Charlie. He's a TikTok convert. He's not a TikTok native. That's one of Josh's terms. Shout out to Josh. He's not a TikTok native, but he's a TikTok newcomer. And, on his walk from the car park, plus plaster developments, Dave's taking a little short form video.
Absolutely.
And it's hitting social media, and it's there already.
Both of my followers have seen it.
Both of your followers have, but they're going to grow.
Hopefully,
they're going to grow. And I think what you do by sharing the journey, sharing the stock, sharing what's going on, is a signal about what the industry is about, because it has been tough times. We can say everything's great, but it's not great, right? So we're dealing with different crises and different pressure points, and a lot of your customers and my customers and the people we network with, people we talk to, they're under different levels of pressure. How's it affecting you and your DNA and what you're offering on a daily basis? Are you riding it out? How are you seeing things at the moment in the market?
We are, I think for us, we're trying to do things a bit differently. I think, stupidity would be keep pushing the same message and hoping to get a different result every time, and we're not doing that. So we do things a bit differently. We try to think outside the box. We work with different companies and different platforms on social media to try and look at different opportunities. So, the TikTok idea or thought that we're going through at the moment, that may end up being brilliant. It may fall flat on its face. We'll continue with all our social media platforms, from LinkedIn, which I think for me is a brilliant way to communicate with people. It's customers, it's suppliers, it's new connections, it's different opportunities, the amount of inquiries and discussions you have on LinkedIn, from posting a video of me walking around the yard, which is a general weekly occurrence now, from me walking past some bricks in London, taking a few pictures and saying these bricks are a bit weird and wacky, and people commenting and liking it and sharing it. It's a different way to work, and I think something we've spoke about before, the industry needs something to sort of shake it a little bit sometimes. I think we, as I said last time, we're quite an archaic way of thinking, the way we work, and I think we should be thinking outside the box a bit more.
But guidance and support, mentoring, guidance, support, being there for people, that's really important at all levels. And, I look at a project that I was involved in, that my business was involved in, a project that went really, really well for us, a top level recruitment project. It was in a very specialist market. It involved the word bricks, and it involved it involved an area of London, which is like we involved London. So understandably, that's something that we would be very strong at Foyne Jones. But I remember when the project came in and talking to the MD and the hiring managers, I was going like, you know what, this is a unique skill set. We've got to understand who's doing it at the moment, but also who's got the transferable skills. So Charlie, I'm there going, I haven't got a clue. Like I've got to dig deep here because this is slightly different. And I looked at my contacts and I thought I'll give Dave a bell because he understands this market. He might not be in it completely himself, but he'd be able to steer us in the right direction. And we had a couple of chats, and he gave us some time, and that sounding board was the catalyst for us starting to make things happen, and that in itself is a signal of what our industry can achieve.
Yeah,
I think the days of us all, wanting to hate and getting stuck into 100%. Each other, I think we can have good competitors, we can have bad competitors, we can have an industry that we celebrate, and we should celebrate by working together.
Absolutely. I've said this to lots of different customers and suppliers and competitors, and whether they believe what I'm saying to them or not, but as you just touched on, we've gone through sort of COVID and 2 years, 3 years of madness, craziness in all different ways. We need to work together. We do, and I'm making a point of speaking to customers that our customers are very strange because our customers tend to be our competitors a lot of the time, but they are still our customers, and working together to try and... How
are those conversations? Like, is it really guarded? Is it like, you rook to our run and, no one's showing their hand? Or people just really open?
I think, there's a bit of confidentiality there. We have to obviously keep our cards close to our chest to a point, but there's no reason why I can't buy a product or sell a product to a customer and communicate with that customer and work together with that customer to try and say, do you know what, we can work here, we can do something together here, but we will compete over here. That's okay, but we'll work together over here. And for me, we need to try and communicate a lot better to each other and support each other, because we're going through, the last 2 years were crazy in terms of business-wise. It was great. We know we've got probably 12, 18 months of a bit of difficult or more difficult times ahead. We need to work together to make sure we all come out of it ready to go again.
Dave, that's part of the inspiration we're talking about as well, because we want this series to inspire the next generation, and that's not just about job seeking advice. It's not just about career advice. It's about day-to-day tactics. I mean, going down the football route, it's about, are you match fit? I talk about being match fit for job seeking, but it's are you match fit for business development? Are you match fit for operations? Are you match fit for supply chain? How aware of you are the outside forces, and what are you doing to be better yourself? And you see areas there now where I go back to my days, when you're doing a direct-to-site order, which a lot of your customers will do, and it's like, can we really tell them the customer details because they're going to take the customer away? And there was all these insecurities, which probably unfounded a lot of the time, based on one or two people tucking you up at one time at one time in the past. So I always overcome that by building relationships. And I thought, well, let's be friends, let's get to know each other, maybe do it over a bacon roll, maybe do it over a beer, maybe do it in football, but get to know each other and see, can we add value, can we work together? I see that a lot in your business, and what you're kind of encouraging your own team to do is to build those relationships with the key places. Is that still the focus for you?
As I said last time, what makes us different to any other business is our staff, and our staff are hugely important to what we do, and the relationships those members of staff have got with our customers and our suppliers enables us to grow and develop and build. Without those relationships, we're no different to anyone else. And I think for us, we need to make sure that we are working with our customers and our sales force and our accounts team and the guys in the yard are building those relationships with all the customers they deal with. It's not a case of, I need to make a relationship with the MD of set customer. The sales guys will have a relationship with the salesperson, the accounts have a relationship with the accounts, and so on and so forth. And I think that's really important to how we grow what we're doing, and that for me is what we're trying to do.
And those relationships, they transcend everything, don't they?
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. Our industry, the brick industry, the merchant industry, the KBB industry, the retail industry. It's relationships at those key moments of truth where you learn so much about a customer, about a supplier, about a partner. The businesses I work with, I prefer to call them partners. Because I'm like, look, we've got to try and, if I'm going to spend this money on that software, help me use it.
Yeah,
if I'm going to spend this money on this and we're going to commit to it, let's make it work together. You also said there about different challenges which is being faced in the here and now, because COVID is behind us. We've got a cost of living crisis. There's something which I read this week. It was quite alarming for me, and I don't know how true it was because it was in one of the trade presses. But it seems that there's a lot more aggression towards the debt recovery and chasing customers now, and we are seeing some terrible situations of job loss where customers are being forced into insolvency or they're overexposed. Is that reaching you yet? Do you feeling vulnerable as a business? Is it something that you're acutely aware of?
I think we're not vulnerable for us as a business. However, we're seeing customers struggle, and we've always seen customers struggle. When recessions or close to recessions are happening, you see customers that are struggling, and that's always a concern. And again, as I said, we want to support our customers and help our customers to get over it, because this month, this year, they're struggling. Next year, they could be booming and flying, on all cylinders. And that's, when you think about the COVID, right at the beginning of COVID, everyone was panicking that we're going to shut the doors and never open again. 3 months later, we could have sold bricks 3 times over, and the customers we had were having the best years of their history. So it's important that we enable, as I said before, we get our customers and our partners in the business through this tough time. And if that means we have to work a bit differently to help them, and if we have to work on price or work on terms or work on different ways to help them get through a difficult patch, there's no point watching a customer go to the wall and go, oh, they've gone, and now what do? We have to go and find a new customer.
I asked that because a wise man once said to me, always be thinking.
It wasn't me then.
No, don't put yourself down, David. You're one of the 3 wise men.
Am I?
But let's look at it. But I remember you saying, think about your customer's customer.
Yeah.
So when I was a merchant and I was calling on a local contractor, whatever, it was always thinking about what their customer wants. What pressures are they under?
Yeah.
Where can you actually help them?
Absolutely.
Why is a next day delivery important? Or why if the delivery isn't going to arrive before 12 o'clock, telling them why is that important?
Absolutely.
To them? And I know that's such a simple thing to say, but we've all got, and I've got some horror stories of ridiculously bad customer service, where it's actually so bad you could turn it into a TV show.
Yeah.
It's actually so bad it's comical, right? And then you see other areas where someone says, look, this has gone wrong, but we're going to put it right, or we're going to try and do this, or do you know another thing? We're sorry.
Yeah.
And that's something I say to people a lot. Don't be afraid for trying something. Don't be afraid for it not working. Don't ever be afraid for it saying sorry, because we say sorry, we can go again. And we can go again.
Well, one of the things I've done when I was sort of repping out on the road, and I've pushed my guys to do the same, is when we go and see a customer on behalf of our customer, so not one of our customers, one of their customers, and we know we're all we do is sell bricks, very basic, very simple. That's all we do. We're going to go and see their customers who are going to want a huge amount of products. We should be there acting as their sales representative. So we should be there for the national builders merchant or the independent builders merchant, talking to their customer, talking about the bricks, and then asking them, what else are you using on this site? What else could you do on this project? And actually backselling and working to get that customer, our customer, some more opportunities.
You haven't lost that sales director's hat, mate, have you?
No,
it's there, isn't it?
It's there. But for me, it's really important, because you're missing an opportunity.
You're talking about being an ambassador for your customer.
Yeah.
You're talking about sharing success and developing relationships.
But that's a difference that us as a business can offer.
Yeah.
So we can go and see our customer's customer, and on the back of doing that, say, here's your brick inquiry, here's your brick order, pass us the order, thank you very much. But he's also asked about lintels and stonework and this, that. We can help you or we can't help you, but there's an opportunity for you to speak to your customer, because you've missed that opportunity internally. We've now brought it back to you. You can now sell him windows, doors, towel rails, taps, whatever it may be. and do it that way. And that's, for me, is an important way for us to promote and grow what our customers are achieving.
Yeah, but how does that become a behaviour? Because that's something which has got to be encouraged. It's got to be coached. It's got to be developed. It's probably got to be KPI. It's got to be measured. So without going into the science and giving too much away, but we are talking about inspiring people. How do you get someone to have that level of care or attention to detail when they are customer facing, or even in the preparation before they rock up on site?
Yeah.
Because when I used to do joint calls, I used to see people, Dave, beat them before they got out of the car.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's your like, whoa.
Well, one thing, Eddie, who was the owner of ET Clay, what he used to say to me, before you go and see a customer, whoever that customer is, whatever you're trying to talk to them about, sit before you go out of the car, work out what you want to do. What is it you're there for? Because it's very easy to go and see a customer, walk in, have a cup of tea, chat about everything and anything, and then walk out going, it was a really good call. I had a lovely chat with Bobby. He was a brilliant guy. But I haven't either sold him anything or told him what I wanted to tell him. So rather than turning up and walking in and having a nice chat, which is lovely, work out what it is, what's your objective for being there. And if you do that properly and you're playing correctly, you'll go in there, have the relationship, build that relationship, speak to the customer, and come away going, that was a good call, because not because I've sold him X or Y, but actually just because I've ticked the boxes I wanted to tick. And it may be that I'm there purely for him to give me lots of information or moan at me for whatever we've done wrong, or I'm there to sell him a product or talk to him about a product or just build that relationship. So any of those things work, any of those things are possible. But yeah, it's really about playing in what you're trying to do. In terms of how I get, or we get the team to work in that certain way, I've always believed it's lead by example. So I like to think, and the rest of the people at ETK may agree or disagree, but I'd like to think that I lead by example. I will go out and see customers. I will go out and offer alternatives. I'll go out and promote products that may not be something we can supply, but something our customer can supply. All those things I've done and I continue to do. I'm a managing director of a company, but as you touched on, I'm a salesman at heart. And that's what I'll continue to do.
And I think that comes through, and people, you've got leaders that are finance directors at heart, so they're accountants at heart. First.
Absolutely.
You've got guys that are operators. You've got supply chain. We're often asked now, actually, at senior level, someone with a marketeering background is quite attractive because people are thinking of different routes to market and different ways of pushing themselves out. But just there, when we're talking about the challenges what the industry faces, we're looking to bring people in, all right? And this episode is 100% about inspiring our next generation stars of the future. And sometimes, Charlie, people get this wrong when I say it, because stars of the future doesn't always mean a school leaver. No. It doesn't mean a college leaver. It doesn't mean a uni grad. It could mean someone coming out of the armed forces. It could mean someone rehabilitating after a time in prison. It could actually mean someone, middle-aged man like me, someone wants to transfer their skills into a different sector. Yeah. And why can't they become a star? Yeah. And that's really where I want to focus on as we end this first half of the podcast, Dave, is that what are your thoughts as a managing director on our industry right now and the challenges it faces? And I'm going to throw recruitment in there. At different levels. We spoke downstairs about at some of the entry-level roles. Yep. It's a challenge to just get people to turn up for an interview, absolutely. Boys and girls. Trust me. The pain that goes into that. You spoke about having a 9 o'clock, a 9:30, a 10 o'clock, a 10:30. And it's like the lottery. It's red or black. You don't know who's going to turn up. And why is that? And that I guess, is the starting question. Why are we struggling at certain levels to attract people? What do you think the issues are?
I'd say that the perception of the industry is not that sexy, if I'm honest. It doesn't appeal to people. It doesn't. You don't sit there and go, really can't wait.
It's got you in it, Blitz.
I know, that's definitely not sexy. Yeah. But it's not a sexy industry. It's not something that people historically have gone, I'm going to go and work for a builder's merchant, I'm going to work in construction. It's not overly sexy. There's parts of it that are really interesting. So the marketing part is really great and exciting and allows you to think differently and look at opportunities. But being a sales coordinator or being a rep on the road may not appeal to people. And the industry itself may not appeal to people. And I think we have to look at other industries and take almost cherry pick some of the key points from those industries and bring them into what we do. And as I said, we learnt a lot during COVID, learned a lot about working from home, that work-life balance. We all want to have that work-life balance. We all want to be able to say, I'm going to work 2 days a week in the office and 3 days from home, if I ever do a 5-day week. But if I did do a 5-day week, that'd be nice. I can do 2 and a 3. Those types of things are really important. And I think as we try to grow this industry and take this industry forward, I think we need to think about how we can work differently, whether it be working from home, flexible working, different ways, different locations, different tools to do our job. And I think all those things would enable the growth of sort of the construction.
It's interesting because as a humble business owner, I say this a lot. I work 30 hours a day, 8 days a week, and I don't really mean it because I have got that enviable position of flexibility.
Yep.
I can actually choose what hours I put in or don't put in, and I often find that I'm putting a shift in at ridiculous times. Like it'll be late in the evening or really early morning or over a weekend. But I'm perhaps doing it because it's good thinking time for me. I'm perhaps doing it because it's the right time to talk to someone, or perhaps I'm doing it because it just suits me.
Yeah.
But again, the work from home phenomenon, right? The hybrid working, the employee value proposition. What's in it for me? And ultimately that's what most people go to work for. What's in it for me?
Yeah.
Is it the pound, shilling and pence? Is it the career pathway? Is it lifestyle? Is it because it's convenient? Is it an eccentric hobby? Who knows? But it's trying to work that out. And I look at a lot of our businesses, and Nick Boyle summed it up very, very passionately in a few episodes ago when he was saying that, we need to be thinking about diversity. We need to be thinking about more inclusiveness. There's a disabled workforce. There's a neurodivergent workforce that could add so much value in different ways to our businesses. But for that to happen, boys and girls, and this is a big one for the merchant sector and the construction supply sector, we've got to change our processes, and we've got to change our perception of what good is and how that works. And that's not just a step change. That's like a major leap forward to even think about doing that. I see some businesses that are doing it really well and really creatively, and there's trust, there's empowerment. That comes from the top downwards, and it always comes from the top downwards. But then sometimes all that glitters isn't gold, and you see a perception of what it is, and then when you get into it, well, actually, the culture isn't that nice, and actually the way it makes people feel isn't that good, because they might be working from home, but they're micromanaged at home, and that's not okay. Josh, who was in the last episode, just shout out to Josh because he's your TikTok influencer. He's got you on that platform, but he made a great point. It's one of your clips, Charlie, one of the video clips that we share. I shared it this week, and it was, if you've got talented people and they're working for you, step out of the way.
Yeah. 100%.
Just step out of the way and let them go to work. And that's a deep breath moment, isn't it?
I think I said the same thing as I did my homework listening to my previous podcast. I think I said the same thing then, that I've got an IT and marketing guy. He knows how the system should work much better than I do. So why do I need to sort of try and micromanage him to do the job he's doing when he knows what he's doing, he knows how the system works, he knows how to make a brochure and do some flyers. I'll give him some pointers of things I want to look like, but a lot of the time I'll say to Paul, and I'll mention him, Paul, go.
Right, Paul?
I'll say to Paul, this is what I want you to do. I want you to have these bricks somewhere here with these prices, with this information, make it look pretty. And he'll do that. And that's how we get the material we've got, and we send out
that's a bigger brief than I give my talented creatives. I normally just go, Charlie, help. and then we work
that explains a lot then.
We work backwards. That's why it goes so well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why it goes so well.
There is no point, for me, micromanaging is not part of my DNA.
Yeah.
It's not what I do. Some people may disagree, but it's not what I do. I support people. I like to think I support people, and I give direction, but allow them to have
I think
flexibility.
if I was criticising myself, one of the things I would say
you're going to criticise me for a minute.
I would say that my passion sometimes can be overpowering because I care so much and I'm so excited and passionate about delivering the best candidate experience, doing the right thing for across the job process. Being seen as a business that is liked and valued and respected. That I really care. So sometimes I can get so into the detail and into it that it's better for me just to step away completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I step away completely and then come back to it, I'm like, I'm really fresh and I'm really up for it. And I think that the people that work with me or for me or as a partner, as a supplier, as a member of staff, what we've learned is that let's use the moments together for the best impact. So if it's a one-to-one, let's use that one-to-one positively. If it's just a chat over a cup of coffee, let's have a chat over a cup of coffee, but never suppress kind of how you're making people feel. And a lot of people coming to us are like, they're unhappy in their job, they're going through the motions, and you're thinking, but why is that? Is it not the job? Is something inappropriate happened? Is there things there which are that bad?
Yeah.
It's not normally that.
No.
There's some rare occasions when it is, but it's more often than not. I feel undervalued. I feel unloved. I don't think I'm getting recognised, don't see a pathway. Yeah. And you're thinking, wow, with a couple of conversations and just some general support and guidance, we can overcome that. And that's how I want to wrap up this first half, Dave, because it's great to get you back on the show. You're one away from a hat-trick ball, which will lead us on to the football section. But before we finish on the next generation, what would you say our industry should be doing to attract the lifeblood? Because if we don't attract the next generation, we're all going to die off.
Yeah.
So what should we be doing?
Blimey, that's a big one to finish.
Yeah, but it's only half time, mate. So you can come again. After.
We've got some more oranges.
Charlie's got his oranges. Yeah, he might get the hairdryer out, mate. You know what I mean? Today's not a good enough first half. No. Get back on that show, David, and turn it on.
What should the industry be doing?
What can we do?
You
could change one thing. Let's keep it simple.
Changing one thing, I'd say we just need to think differently. As I said, I touched on before, if we keep doing the same thing, we'll get the same results. If we want different results, we need to think a bit differently. Yeah. So whatever that needs to be, we just need to have a different outlook on what we're trying to achieve. I think if we send people out onto the front line in the same way we've always done it, let's focus everything on KPIs. That's great. You're going to do your 10, 12 calls a day. That's brilliant. Well done. You've seen 12 people. You've got nothing from that. So for me, KPIs are a semi-important part of the day, or the job, should I say. But realistically, go out and see people that want to see you. And rather than just knocking on doors and seeing those people, because I said last time, because you have to see those people, go out and see the people that you need to see for a reason, not just because you've got an objective, but they've actually want to see you or they want to talk to you. So doing things a bit differently, what that different thing is, differs from lots of different industry, or lots of different people and lots of different companies. But for me, it's doing things a bit differently. So don't always just go out every day is the same day. I love the industry. I love my job because, no 2 days are the same. Yesterday, I spent most of the day working from home. Today, I'm sitting in Brighton on a podcast. Tomorrow, I've got meetings all day. So every day is different. The people I speak to are different. But I think if we do the same thing every single time we go out, whether that be the sales guys in the office, the guys out in the yard, the branch managers, the area sales managers, the accounts team, sometimes you need to do the same thing, but realistically, if you go out and see the same customer and do the same role every day, you're going to get the same results, good, bad or indifferent.
Mate,
there we go.
That's a perfect
must be half time now.
Mate, that's a perfect end. Just we're at the stoppage time in first half. I thought about an answer to this question. Okay. So I thought, well, what would I say if Dave answers that to me? So it's quite unfair, but I like that. I like to have a little bit of theatre. I would say there was 2 areas or 3 areas I thought about. I thought one was really obvious actually. And I don't know if we do it enough, and I think we try. But I honestly believe the industry should celebrate and showcase the successes it has. because there are some amazing personalities, there's some amazing stories. You know, there's people that could give so much back if they stood up and said, I work in a sector I love, this is where my career begun, this is where it is now. Whenever I've done posts like that on LinkedIn and got someone to talk about where it started, where they are now, it's always got loads of interest because people talk about the good old days, I talk about where they're born from. So I think a platform where the industry stood up and really celebrated the success and got real big personalities to tell their stories could help. Could really, really help. And then looking at that slightly further on, we're not going to be able to reinvent the wheel. So actually looking at what opportunities are there and how it can change someone's life, that's really, really important.
Yeah.
And overall, I see career pathways for so many different people, but I don't see enough fun. And I don't see enough people smiling. I don't feel enough people loving what they do. And I think we need to start reminding ourselves sometimes of why we're doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, as I touched on, all we do as a business is sell bricks. We're not rocket scientists. We're not anything more than brick salesmen. I think we have to remember that. And one thing I've came through yesterday, I had an email yesterday from one of my larger customers, asking me to visit with them a local primary school in an area they're doing a huge development, or we've supplied them bricks for a huge development. Can you come to a primary school and meet with, I think, 90 children, which sounds quite scary. When you've got 90 sounds horrible. But when you meet with 90 children and just talk to them about bricks and construction, very, very low level, sort of 8 and 9 year olds. So I probably should be okay. I should be able to hold my own.
Well, that's my level.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I should be okay for that. But talk to them about bricks and construction, and that's something that would enable that one boy, girl in that classroom to come away going, those funny things made of clay, they're quite fun. Or that bloke wore a hard hat. I quite like that. And that might be the future. Yeah. You know, MD of a construction company, a builder, whatever it may be, and that's how we're
doing those little gigs, mate. They're so rewarding, right? So I've done prisons, which is humbling and rewarding. Yeah. I've done schools, I've done college, I've done all different environments, and I actually find that sometimes when you go into the room and you've got all the faces looking at you, and you're like, okay, so really, what? I'm not that interesting. So what can I do? And you bring to life your different experiences. And I got asked the other day, so what do you do as a recruitment owner? And I was like, it's a tough question. I mean, I talk to a lot of people. I have a lot of fun on LinkedIn. I've got a podcast actually. I'm really proud of my podcast. And they said, but how does that make you money? I'm saying because you know we're trusted by people. They know who we are, and we bring an element of energy and fun into everything we do. So, absolutely. David, one thing I want to go back to. Your fundraising and your running, mate.
Yes.
You raised an awful lot of money. Let's end the first half of this show with something really positive. How much did you raise and what charity did you raise it for, mate? Because it was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money.
This is big, Charlie.
It was just over £31,000, which was, you know, I'm proud to say I've raised that for...
31 bags of sand, mate. That is good going.
Yeah. So, it was...
for Macmillan?
For Macmillan, yeah.
But there you go. Fair play.
Thank you.
That's the end of the first half of the show.
It was hard work,
mate.
but yeah, no, I enjoyed it, and they were brilliant. After the guy I spoke to there on numerous occasions, Ollie, was phenomenal.
Shout out to Ollie. Shout out to you putting your money, putting your mind, body, and soul.
And all the people that donated. Thank you.
I've done marathons, mate. I know what you went through. We made a small donation.
Thank you very much.
£31,000 to an absolutely magnificent charity. That's the way we're going to end the first half of the show, because that is inspirational.
Life-changing recruitment for the KBB, builders merchant and construction industries, creative social content, specialist knowledge, world-leading video technology, helping you find career happiness and helping your business attract its stars of the future. We are Foyne Jones. This is what we do.
Welcome back to episode 7. I've got David Blitz in the studio. We wrapped the first half of the show up talking about your fundraising and the amazing work you did for Macmillan. But I've got a little section of the show because we always like talking lower league football when David Blitz is in the studio, and we probably keep our own football teams out of it, Dave. We just talk lower leagues for a little bit. We often talk, and we even share messages. This is how sad we are. But we talk about an old Leyton Orient player called Ricky Otto, and I say had a wand of a left foot. They don't make footballers like that anymore. No. But your business is doing something amazing with the community there. I see it all the time. You're sponsoring Goal of the Month. You're very embedded into what they're doing.
Absolutely. And
they're ripping it up this season, the O's, aren't they?
They're smashing it. They're top of the table.
Do you enjoy that? Do you enjoy that involvement? It feels like you're really close to the club.
Yeah, the club are brilliant. Absolutely.
You got yourself involved in team selection yet?
No.
Do you still want to?
I'd love to. If Richie Wellham will allow me to pick the team for the last game of the season, that'd be lovely. Yeah. If we're champions by then.
If you're clear,
yeah. If we're champions by then, it does make a difference. But
Number 10, Blitz.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say I'd play. I was just going to pick the team. But yeah, I'll give it a go.
You did have a little run out there, though.
I had a run out at the end of the season. I scored 2, but I didn't want to mention that on live on air.
Take him up for your five-a-side team, mate.
It's a long way to travel. To travel. But no, Orient are doing brilliantly. They're top. They've got some great players. They've signed a couple of good players on loan. And they've got some players that have come through the youth setup there. But it's just all coming together nicely at the moment. And hopefully, when this airs, they'll be champions or at least promoted. And that was the goal, to get in I think the goal originally was to get in the playoffs. If we get in the playoffs now, we'll be quite disappointed. Yeah. If we don't finish as champions, we'd probably be a little bit disappointed. We're unbeaten in 12, a few draws in those 12, but we're picking up points away from home. We're picking up points at home. We're doing everything we need to do. And the club itself is working really well. They've got great owners. They've got great support from top down. And it's
always
working.
I remember from Fulham's time in the lower leagues, it was a ground I visited often.
Yeah. You got thrown out of it.
Yeah, first football ground I've been thrown out. Oh, thank you for sharing that with
probably
the
not the last one.
Thousands of listeners.
You mentioned it last time.
It was the beginning of a trend. I think I've got that as my opener. From a Fulham council estate and working on a market stall to a misspent youth on the football terraces, corporate bedrooms, and the launch of a life-changing recruitment company. I do play up to those days, and they were happy old days on the football terraces, mate. But Orient's always had that very close connection with its local community. Yeah. It's got some celebrity fans, that are very proud Orient fans, and that's similar to Fulham in a way. Yeah. And I always look back and think, well, my childhood, Fulham were a lower league team. They were Division 3, they were Division 4. If you look at the old money, they were 3 and 4. It was in the Al Fayed era that we started moving up the leagues. And when I look at the grounds I went to all the time, I remember when Orient first arrived in the Football League, because they were out and back, and their names were changing a little bit. But there was that core support. There was that core East London support. We're not West Ham. We're actually Leyton Orient. But they've built amazing links with the community, haven't they? And that must be great for your business to be part of that as well as supporting the team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think where they're situated, where the ground is, it's surrounded like a typical old-fashioned stadium. It is surrounded by 4 or 5 roads. On match days, there's certain roads you can park down, there's certain roads you can't park down. I found a road where you can park and it's brilliant, so I can get to the ground in 20 minutes.
Keep that to yourself.
Yeah, I won't tell too many people. Yeah. But no, it's a great community football club, and when they're winning and when they're doing well, everyone's really happy. But I just believe that the club have got something. I think and I touched on this last time, anyone in the community, anyone that we used to go and watch Tottenham, Arsenal, West Ham, Chelsea, any of those supporters would always go to Leyton Orient as their second club. Yeah. And I think that when they're doing well, more and more people go, and they're sort of selling out most games now. The tickets are sold for the rest of the season. We're talking about getting a season ticket for me and the boys for next year. We enjoy going there. The hospitality is brilliant. The people that work there are great. There's a podcast I listen to on a regular basis, which is Outlook podcast, which is brilliant, really good podcast, and it just keeps people involved in the club, and that's what they do really well.
Lifeblood, though,
and I was going to say, that's what they do.
That's the lifeblood, is keeping it involved and keeping the message out there.
Absolutely.
And that's quite powerful when you talk about...
Well, I was going to say, when you link that back to what we're talking about, how we get people to stay and want to work in the industry we work in, it's by engaging with those people and making them feel part of it. And the Orient fans and people in the community feel part of Leyton Orient. You walk into the ground, and yes, it's a lower league ground, so that you don't have to be so far away from the players, and the players walk past. I came out of the stadium after one of the games a few weeks ago. And as I walked out, the number 7, the main man, Paul Smith, was outside holding his baby. Hello, Paul. Hello, mate. You all right? And it's just a normal bloke. As I walk past Paul Smith, Adam Thompson's there pushing his baby in the buggy. They're just
next to the crash or something.
Yeah, I don't know why I see everyone brought a baby to work day, but they are just normal blokes. They haven't got that. Almost
they're not Godzillionaires, are they?
No, they're not, and they know where they are.
They're playing professional sport,
they're
which
on
makes them an envy
correct, and they're on social media. They communicate with the fans, and they realise where they are as a player. It
makes a real difference, though, doesn't it? I bumped into Tom Kearney randomly. You know, I was on my way to Fulham, so was he. He was injured. I bumped into him at a petrol station, not literally, just the other side of Putney, and I'm like, and he was so normal. It was quite frightening, to be fair. And I was like, because I've met a lot of footballers over the years, and some are okay, some I wouldn't want to talk to again, and others I just think, wow, you're strange. But that's not always their fault, because they get very protected and bubbled, and that can be that way, and they've got so much money as well. But when you've got that connection that the fans have with those players and the players have with those fans, you've got something very special. And I think from a lower league football's perspective, to get businesses supporting them is really good.
Absolutely.
But it must be great for your staff and your team to get, different people I see giving out goal of the month. And, it's being shared around, so other people experience it.
Yeah, we're trying to get customers to visit. We're trying to get suppliers to visit. We're trying to get people that we communicate with.
You'll be trying to get me a visit.
I will. You'll come next season. We'll try and do the Papa John's. We said this last time.
It's all about the Fulham fixture list. But I talk about Fulham so much on a daily basis that everyone around me seems to know more, to follow Fulham. But it is part of me. And I would do that in your boardroom at your head office. I'd do that on site. And it is a game changer. And those personalities and our passions, our interests make a massive difference. So seeing the club do well, absolutely fantastic. We wish them all the best. By the time this episode's aired, they'll probably be up a division. So
hopefully.
So that's what we want for you. Shall we, just for Charlie's benefit, just have a little bit of Tottenham banter, or do you want to keep it out of the show? It's your call.
We can do a little bit.
Because he's a very happy gooner sitting there, just smiling to himself.
Let's hope they don't go all Spursy on us.
Not at all. I mean, we're not in the clear by any means yet, boys. But I was saying this to you just quickly before we got started, though, David. I mean, I think the Spurs situation at the moment is quite an interesting one, because it feels like there's an air to me around the club of like, we're done with this. And do you think it might be a time where you're going to see some real change there now? No.
No, I don't. I'm not in the Levy out camp. I'm not. No, I'm not. I don't think that. I'm not saying he's done it all correctly.
So you need to be careful what you wish for, camp.
Yeah, I think so. I think that if you look at, yes, there's been mistakes made with the Poch era, and should have backed him at that time, Champions League final. That's where we should have backed him, and who knows where we'd be now. However, when you look at the players, and for me, the thing we do wrong is that we're trying to win the title, and we're trying to do it by employing a manager that's got experience of winning titles. So we've gone for Conte, we've gone for Mourinho, who have won titles. They've won titles at clubs where they give them a huge amount of money to go and spend on those players. That's not the Tottenham model. And we don't play the football that Mourinho and Conte play. We play the Tottenham way. When you mentioned last time, people like Hoddle and Gaza and Lineker, all those. That's how we play football.
I'll be honest, there weren't a lot of the Tottenham way at Craven Cottage when you beat us 1-0.
But that probably went in our favour, like the Brighton game last week. But what we're trying to do is to win a title by throwing money at it, by throwing a manager at it without giving him the support. What we need to do, and it pains me to say, is do what Arsenal have done. Well, that's a horrible thing to say. Do what Arsenal have done and actually go out and give a manager the opportunity to grow a team, to play a certain way, for him to have the ability to go and buy the players that he wants, and the players that are going to be there for the duration after the manager's gone. We're allowing managers to buy players that suit his style of play. So Poch bought Ndombele, brilliant player, smashing up at the moment, and then he we get rid of Pochettino, bring in Mourinho. He doesn't want him, so we move him on, and then we're having to replace those players again. And all we're doing is spending lots and lots of money on players that don't fit the next manager's way of playing. What we need to do is get a manager, in my opinion, that plays the way we want. If that manager doesn't work, we continue playing the way we want with the next manager. So whether it be a Potter, a Rodgers, a Company, whoever the manager may be, our next manager is going to be, give that manager time to do it.
I think Eddie Howe would have been really good for your football club.
Eddie Howe would have been amazing.
I mean, everyone wants Eddie Howe. Everyone liked Eddie Howe anyway, didn't
Eddie
they?
Howe's doing a brilliant job at Newcastle.
I mean, in the studio, Charlie, when Parker left, I'm like, well, let's 100% go for Eddie Howe. We got Marco Silva and we had a result.
But the problem with managers like Eddie Howe, and this is the mindset of football fans, is that he managed at Bournemouth, he managed at Burnley. That's not sexy enough for Tottenham fans, so we want to go for a Mourinho who's won the title in all different places. Conte has won the title in different places.
I think you had the real deal with Pochettino. I think
so
you had the real deal.
So do I. And I think we missed an opportunity there.
I genuinely think you had the real deal. I think Fulham, at our level, have got the real deal with Marco Silva. Yeah. Our challenge will be, all right, he's probably not helped himself a little bit lately, but regardless of that, he's got us safe and he's achieved amazing things. The lure of a bigger club will be hard for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're then looking at who's next, and you're always thinking that as a football club.
You look at Brighton. Brighton. Potter's gone and gone again, but Potter's gone to a bigger club and they've replaced him. You look at lots of these teams that have done it. Some have done it really well. Southampton look like they've done one manager too many and they're looking like they're falling out the top flight. But the good teams are the ones that have that same philosophy, that they employ the person to do the job for the club and not try and get the club to fit into the manager's way.
And they hold their nerve, don't they? Yeah. And I think that's something I used to say about the builders merchant industry and some of the businesses I was close to. Is like, we've got to hold our nerve a little bit here. We can't be changing our mind because something's gone wrong after 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 quarters. Let's commit to a plan and make it happen. And I think football does transcend everything. And when you look at your own management style and your own tactics and everything you bring in, there are so many different similarities that affect everyone, and going back and coming away from the world of football, because it's always going to be a debate. It's always going to be a conversation. Jason Key was here. He's a Tottenham fan. Great guy. Shout out to Jace. He was like, the club's combusting. Everything must go. So he was on that side of it. Yeah. You're looking at more balanced. You're looking at it there. You're saying, well, let's think about where we want the club to be. Got the best stadium in the country. Yep. Tick. Have they got the best team in the country? No. Have they got the potential to grow? Maybe. Yep. I think there's a kind of a delusion around the aura of Tottenham. And if you break it down and say, what have they achieved? Perhaps nowhere near what they could achieve.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That investment's going to be the key.
Yeah.
The big teams that are governed by investment. Yeah. You might get a Leicester. Yeah. You might get one or two teams that punch above. He's throwing that in, Charlie. he's throwing that in.
No, but it is that, and it's to compete with the Newcastles now, the Man Cities, the Chelseas, the Liverpools, the Man Uniteds. You can't compete.
Liverpool saying they can't compete.
Yeah, but you can't compete pound for pound. You have to go out and say, we're just going to play football. We're going to try and win games, and we're going to build our club. And if on the back of that you then create this wonder kid that turns out to be brilliant, and you sell him on for lots and lots of money, brilliant. Or he stays within the club.
I mean, if we take the positives, though, mate, Spurs are safe from relegation, aren't they? So they're in our club, and just mathematically safe.
Yep, absolutely. And top four still in our reach.
He's still
out
there,
of our hands, but in our reach.
He's still there. David, listen, thank you so much
Pleasure.
for joining us today.
Loved it.
We're going to wrap the show up, all right? And again, I want to say something. I want to say thank you for coming down. It's a special time of the year for you and your family as well. So I really appreciate you coming down today. It's always good to have David Blitz in the studio because you've got such a measured view of the industry, right?
Okay.
So we wrap up every show with some words of advice for our stars of the future. It's that sign now.
Okay.
It could be 3 words of advice. It could be 1 word of advice. But this is for the job seekers. This is for the people at the beginning of their careers or people wanting to transfer into the sector. What words of advice would David Blitz give?
Well, I've got lots and lots of notes, as always. For me, you have to enjoy what you do. You have to enjoy what you do. Too many people go into jobs that they think it's a job they want to do. They hate it. They absolutely hate it. And we touched on downstairs, people will get sort of stuck in a rut and they can't get out of it and they've got nowhere to go. So for me, you have to enjoy what you do. Think differently. Take every opportunity that comes your way. But just enjoy life. You know, it's without getting deep and meaningful. You know, we sell bricks. You know, you work in recruitment. That's what we do. We enjoy what we do. Don't take life too.
For a sector that changed my life, the builders merchant sector.
But don't take life too seriously. At the end of the day, it's a job. We love it. We have to enjoy it. We have to do what we want to do and what we enjoy doing. But it's important that we take stock sometimes as well.
So have fun.
Absolutely.
Have fun. David, I wrote some notes down there, and you know, I like my little notebook. It kind of captures everything from the show. And I've wrote two things down. I've wrote fantastic guest, fantastic episode. We're going to get you on again. I think we're going to get you on every series.
Get a ball now.
What we'd like to do is maybe do one on location at Brisbane Road.
We could do that. Absolutely.
We've been invited to Paul Bence's Cheltenham Town. We've been invited. We've just got fixture congestion at the moment. He's in Portugal. I'm getting geared up for a shootout. Can't. Every day Paul sends me. So what about that one? I'm in Budapest. It's a wedding anniversary. What about that one? Charlie's in Portugal. Paul, we'll make it happen. I promise you.
We will definitely
he's
get
got
to
his kit on
Road.
ready to go,
we'll
mate.
Definitely do that.
So we'll definitely do that, Dave. But thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for being passionate about bricks, but also thank you for being so passionate about the industry, because what we've got, listeners, and this is important, you've got a managing director there who's at one with his people, who's at one with his customers, and he gives a shit about the future of our sector.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about. That's how we're going to inspire our stars of the future. Thank you to our season sponsor, Marcel from MHK Holding UK. But he does things the Ajax way. So if you want someone to talk football and philosophy and total football, he's the man. We'll be back next episode, Sussex by the Sea, but we're going on location, aren't we, Charlie? We got recording on location, and we really hope that listening to David, listening to all our other guests, we are going to inspire the next generation, because I love the industries we recruit for. I love the industries I'm part of, and I look forward to seeing Mr. Blitz shaking it up, ripping it up, breakdancing on TikTok. That's your challenge, mate.
Sounds good.
On a couple of bricks.
Superb. Thanks.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next episode. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as I said, that's the end of the show. Thanks for listening. Make sure you check out next week's episode, as we will keep inspiring our stars of the future.